Hello, once again. Thank you so much for joining us for our National Volunteer Center Google On Air Hangout about English summer camps. Thank you so much for your patience, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So today, the purpose of the Hangout is to inform everyone briefly about the English Open Doors program, a little bit about the National Volunteer Center, and then mainly focusing on English summer camps. To give you kind of an idea of the structure of our presentation, we're going to be talking for about 15 to 20 minutes, and then we're going to have a chance for a live question and answer session with our viewers. If you're unfamiliar with Google Hangouts, I'll explain quickly some of the basic features. In the top right-hand corner, you'll see a small box, and if you click on that, you'll have access to, first of all, the showcase, which if you're able to hover over those yellow tabs, you'll find links to many important things, like our website, our invitation to apply, a lift up, and a couple other things we'll mention throughout the presentation. You'll also see the question and answer application. So throughout the presentation, feel free to write in questions as they come up, and then we'll be answering those all at the end. If you are having technical difficulties with anything, please feel free to reach out for technical support. You can contact us via Google Chat or Skype. Those two screens are on the name. My name is Abby, and I'm from the National Volunteer Center. I'll be presenting today here with Jeremy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Abby. So like Abby said, today we're going to be telling you guys about this great opportunity that is English Opens Doors program summer camps that are going to be taking place this January. So before we get into that, it'd be good to for you to have a little bit of context first about us as an initiative, as a program. So the English Opens Doors program is part of the Chilean Ministry of Education. We're part of the government, and we work together with the United Nations Program for Development. And basically the goal of the English Opens Doors program in general is to strengthen English language learning through the public education system. So being that we are a government program, the goal of our program is to provide all of these different initiatives to the public fee-free for the beneficiaries. So if you take a look at the screen, you'll see some of the different areas of work that our program covers. You'll see we have professional teacher development programs. We have student development initiatives, which is what you're watching right now. Summer camps is one of these. We also have rural English programs and online English courses for both teachers and students. We're also working in higher education with universities offering the track of teaching up to be an English teacher. And finally, the last one you'll see on there is the National Volunteer Center, which is where myself, Jeremy, and my colleague Abby work. So before we get into a little more specific about the National Volunteer Center, it's important for you to know that as of this year, 2015, we are in the midst of a large-scale educational reform. And we're really happy to announce that the focus of this educational reform is to place more resources and more priority on vulnerable, fully municipal schools, which in Chile here means 100% publicly funded schools, which tends to be the most disadvantaged sector of the education system. So to give you a little bit more information about the National Volunteer Center, who Abby and myself are representing, basically what we do is here in our office, we specifically recruit, we train and guide our international volunteers who are native and near native English speakers from all around the world. And we guide them through the process, bringing them to Chile to work in public schools together with Chilean English teachers, helping students to develop their communicative English, specifically the speaking and listening. And in addition to that, that's our main area of work. We also recruit volunteers for summer camp, hence us hosting this exciting webinar. So if you'd actually like a little bit more information, if you've tuned in for the summer camp information, but you'd like more information about our full-time volunteer program, go ahead and click on that link that you'll see on your screen, or you can also find it in the showcase section, as Abby mentioned before.
Great. Well, now that you have a little bit more background, let's dive right into summer camps. So all of our summer camps revolve around a theme, and the theme this year is music and literature. Summer camps also have a motto, and this year it's to rock or not to rock. That is the question. The dates of summer camp are as shown on the screen. They're the first 2 full weeks of January. We're going to be having 24 camps across all of Chile, which are open to public high school students. The number of students in each camp will range from 40 students to 120, depending on the size of the city and things like that. Camps will be taking place on public school campuses that are obviously not being used because of vacation right now. We have a couple overnight camps, but the majority of them are just day camps, and they'll run from 10 a.m. in the morning to 5 in the afternoon. Our volunteers are expected to get there an hour or so early, and they'll typically stay an hour or so after for setup, cleanup, meeting with the camp team. So why would students want to sign up for this? First of all, it's free. It's a free public benefit. It also includes meals, and food is a great motivator for high school students. They get a free breakfast and a free lunch. They're part of a fun and engaging atmosphere in this safe, educational, and immersive English camp. We're really looking to help them build and develop their confidence and their communicative abilities through different interactive dynamic games. And generally, we want to get them more interested in English.
I'd say we do a pretty good job of that. The camps are a lot of fun. And I'd like to give you guys some more information about the camp culture that you would find if you were to be volunteering in these camps. So like Abby said, this is an opportunity that's open to all public high school students. That is to say, any schools that are receiving public funding from the government, which would be the fully municipal and the semi-private schools. And to kind of give you an idea about how popular this initiative is, every year we have over 5,000 students from across the whole country apply to participate in this activity. And unfortunately, we don't have the capacity for that just yet. But we do have enough space for about 2,000 of these lucky students who are selected to participate in this activity. But like Abby said, it's free for the students, and they're also getting meals. It's something that's really exciting for them. Something else to keep in mind, like we said before, in the context of the educational reform that's going on right now, whereas the camps used to really just be open to all groups, there is a higher level of priority right now being placed on getting these more underserved, socioeconomically disadvantaged students to make up a greater part of the camp body.
Great, so now that you kind of understand the basics, we want to explain a little bit of the logistics. So all of our camps are run through the backbone, which is the camp curricular plan. This is essentially an extensive schedule of camp week activities, and it outlines the learning outcomes, details and instructions for every activity, as well as a volunteer role and responsibility. If you look in our showcase, you'll find a link to last year's curricular plan if you're interested to kind of get an idea of how camps are typically structured. Three of the biggest things are national competition, our main activities, the first of which are lip dubs. A lip dub, if you haven't heard, is a single take music video where students are looking to represent the meaning of the lyrics visually. And it's a national competition between all of the camps who make a music video for the same song. It's a whole day activity, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of students' highlights. We encourage you to also check out in our showcase a lip dub video. And additionally, not only do you get bragging rights for the year if your camp wins the lip dub, you're also eligible for prizes. Addition to the lip dub, we also have the National Project and the Camp Project, which are other national competitions that you'll be working on throughout the week, and that you can actually win prizes for your camp. It can be everything from craft projects, videos, and different really engaging activities. Throughout the week, there are also numerous small group and whole camp activities.
Yeah, the activities are a lot of fun, but I think, Abby, would you probably agree that lip dubs are one of the most fun?
It's the favorite.
Yeah, it's a whole day of a lot of fun, and you get this really cool memento at the end that you can, show to the whole world about this great week that you had while you were working in a camp in Chile. So to give you guys some more context, maybe you're thinking right now, but who am I working with? What's going on? We want to tell you a little bit about the staff roles within a camp. Basically, there are three types of people working in any given camp. And maybe the first and most important one would be the monitor. Okay, this is going to be a Chilean English teacher, usually who has a good amount of experience in camp, both as a volunteer and as a monitor. And more than anything, they're really the supervisor. They kind of take on a more administrative role, so they're not actually going to get to play all the games and have all the fun that you guys would with the students. They're going to be sort of more organizing and more logistical. But then the actual volunteer team is going to be made up of first Chilean volunteers. And these are going to be university students who are studying to become English teachers. Usually they're closer to the end of their study path. Some of them actually are English teachers. And what they're going to do is they're going to be mostly in charge of these different activities that you'll find on the curricular plan, these structured activities. And what the National Volunteer Center volunteers are responsible for, or the international volunteers, is basically leading supplemental activities. So you'll find that although this curricular plan is quite thorough, there are always going to be moments where maybe an activity finished sooner than it was supposed to, maybe you weren't able to do a certain activity, and there's this moment that can really easily, a little bit of downtime where the students can really easily get unfocused and not be as interested. So that's kind of one of the really cool things about the National Volunteer Center role, the international volunteer, is you're sort of this insurance that the energy level never drops. In many ways, yes, you're leading supplemental activities. You're also helping with the activities that the Chilean volunteers lead. But in some ways, you could say that the role of the international volunteer is really all about motivating students, maintaining a really high energy level, and generally making camp a really fun and worthwhile experience. It's your job to make these students feel excited about the things that they're doing, and whether or not you realize it, you actually do have that power. For the students too, it's important to know that in a lot of cases, this is what they've been looking forward to all year. This is their favorite week. In the case of those who've already participated, and in the case of those who haven't, it's about to be. So why is it that way? What is it they like about this so much? Well, in addition to meeting new friends and getting to practice their English and sort of being in a really safe environment where they can express how much they like English. Definitely one of the biggest draws, guys, is going to be you, these international volunteers. The students are extremely excited to come to camp and interact and play games and be involved in activities with you, the native and near native speakers. You guys are definitely one of the big selling points of these camps. So in that sense, you have to think that you guys really set the tone for the camp, which is really empowering. If you put your heart into this and you have your motivations in the right place and you're really just kind of bringing a positive energy and a high energy, you can really have a huge impact on where this camp goes and how positive an experience it is, which is really exciting, I would think. And if you want a little bit more specific information about the specific roles of the volunteer, kind of more in a bullet point sort of format, definitely make sure to check out the in the showcase box to check out the invitation to apply, because that's where you'll find kind of the more point by point information.
Great. Well, now that hopefully everyone wants to apply, we're going to talk a little bit about the application process. So first of all, our requirements. We are looking for volunteers that are from another country besides Chile, outside of Chile. Chilean volunteers actually have a separate application process that you can find on inglés.mineduc.cl. International volunteers must also be at least 21 years old at the beginning of camp. They must have a native or near native level of English. And this will be evaluated in an interview, which will be by phone or by Skype. So if you're unsure of your level of English, go ahead and apply, and that's something that we'll look at during the interview. Volunteers must also have legal status in Chile during the camps, and that can be as a resident, as a tourist, on a work visa, any of those are okay. But we do need documented proof that you're currently in the country legally. And then lastly, volunteers must have a really high energy level and are ready to come motivate students. It's a long week. We need the energy on Friday to be the same level that it was on Monday morning. Additionally, part of your application is the placement preferences. We do ask for your placement preferences because there's something we do take into consideration. However, when we're placing volunteers who are located throughout Chile in 24 camps mixed throughout Chile, it turns into a complex puzzle. So what we really ask for is your flexibility. I want you to kind of keep in mind two realities. First of all, no matter where you're placed, that camp is going to have tons of excited students who, as Jeremy mentioned, are looking forward to meeting you, getting to know you, practicing their English with you. So there really is no such thing as a bad placement. Additionally, there's actually very little time to travel and explore during camps. It's a full day of work. You're going to go back to the hotel, have dinner, and then get a good night's rest. You're going to be quite tired. So if you are wanting to travel, that's something that you could definitely do after the week of camp.
Great. Yeah, so to give you guys also a little bit more information about sort of the benefits and also the responsibilities that you would have if you were to participate in this. While we really want you guys to participate, we unfortunately cannot provide you international transportation. We will not be buying you a flight from your home country. However, we will take care of your transportation within Chile that is not your daily transportation. That's to say, for example, in the place you're staying every night, to the campsite, that's something that if there's a cost associated with that, like taking the bus, you'll have to pay that cost daily, right? You'll also be responsible for your legal status in Chile. Like Abby said, we'll need you to have a legal status in Chile. be that either as a tourist or a resident, or maybe you have a working visa and you have some time off. As long as you are a legal person in this country, we can have you work in these camps. Additionally, we also need you to have a functioning cell phone and definitely commit to checking your email daily, both during the time of the camp, but also during the time before the camp, because there's going to be a lot of different things that can come up logistically, and we'll need to be able to get in touch with you at a moment's notice to be able to discuss these things with you. So we definitely need good communication, guys. But in terms of the benefits that we offer you, like I said, we can't bring you from your home country, but what we can do is once you're in Chile, you will report to us where it is that you'll be starting from, and whether you're working 1 week or 2 weeks, we will take care of your transportation from the start, getting you to your first camp, potentially your second camp, and then we also offer round trip transportation, sending you back to wherever you started from. Like with that said, though, if like Abby said, if you were to want to stay in your last camp location and maybe take advantage of some of the beautiful nature that Chile has to offer, every region is filled with beautiful sites and things to explore. That's also one of your options too. You can stay there. You don't have to go back to your start point. We also provide accommodations, that is to say lodging, for each night that you're participating in the camp, as well as 3 meals a day. Okay. And in addition to those first two benefits that we mentioned, you're also entitled to a payment of 130,000 Chilean pesos, almost 200 US dollars, for each week of camp that you complete. So one thing to keep in mind with this, if you're planning on being in Chile for a little bit longer after the camp, let's say for another month or two, we can most likely get you your payment in check form, or through a bank deposit, or some other convenient method that's within our reach. However, if you're coming to Chile and you're going to be leaving, let's say before the month of March, then we'll probably have to pay you through an international bank transfer. And you should be aware that this can take a little bit longer than the other types of payments, being that it depends a lot on sort of the compatibility of the bank that the United Nations uses and your bank in your home country. So that can sometimes take a bit longer, but it will get there. Also, we do provide in-country health insurance, and this is something that basically it's not for preventative care, but if you have you slip and fall, you hurt your knee, you have a stomach ache, whatever it is, you're going to be able to go and get quality medical attention in a timely fashion. And also something else that we're offering as a benefit here is definitely a really unique and memorable experience working with students who are really eager to practice their English with you. Abby, I think you would probably say the same. I've worked in about 6 camps. Abby's also worked in quite a few. It's not just the students who look forward to this week for the whole year. It's also the people who work on the staff side as well.
It's definitely a memorable experience. Big fans of camp, obviously. Looking forward, though, a little bit about the application process. All the relevant steps and information can be found on that invitation to apply, which is still located in the showcase feature, but it essentially breaks down to an online application, followed by an email submission of required documents, and then finally an interview that I mentioned earlier. The deadline for applications is coming up. It's Friday, December 4th. However, applications are also rolling, so we are making decisions as we go. So if this is something that you are really motivated and are excited about, we encourage you to apply now, because we are starting to receive a lot of applications. So do it sooner rather than later.
Great. If you are accepted, you'll receive that information via email, the same one that you submit to us on your application form. And when we send you that acceptance, there will be an online form attached to that email that will need to be filled out within 1 week. And basically what you'll do with that form is you'll confirm your participation for the weeks that you've been selected to participate, regardless of the location. Okay. Also in that form, you'll have to sign up for an e-orientation, which is the way that we train all of our international volunteers to work in camps. It's going to have information about the specific curricular plan, logistical information, and really everything that you'll need to know in order to be a successful camp volunteer. Okay. Those activities, the e-orientations, there's going to be about 10 of them taking place over the course of 2 weeks, from December 7th to December 18th. So be aware that you will need to set aside about 45 minutes to an hour of your time during those weeks to participate in one of these. Other important information, you'll also receive your tentative placements, right, for the camp or the camps that you'll be working in during mid-December. Okay. Those are tentative placements. Again, like we said, things can come up and we might have to shift you to a different camp if need be, depending on what happens. And then finally, you'll get your confirmed final placements and your transportation information about 1 week before the camp date, before the start of the camp. You should be aware, though, you'll need to be available to travel as of the Saturday before the camp. The camp will run from Monday to Friday, and you'll actually need to, like we said, you'll need to be available to travel from the Saturday before, and then you'll have a pre-camp meeting on the Sunday, the day before camp, to basically kind of get on the same page with your team, get to know each other, and lay out your plan for the week. Okay. Also, you'll see here, if you look on your screen, you'll see a sort of tentative calendar with different events that will be happening related to camps. Basically, the ones I just described. You'll see the dates that will have e-orientations, and as you'll see, the last 2 weeks in December, your travel information could come in anytime there. Okay.
Great. Well, before we start wrapping up, we kind of want to leave you with some final thoughts. English Open Door program camps are really an incredible way to make a strong impact on young public school students in a short amount of time. Honestly, this is a really meaningful and fulfilling experience you can have while you're here in Chile, because you're helping young disadvantaged students to believe in themselves, to build their confidence, and to strive to communicate in another language, which is a really big win. Your energy and dedication is honestly the most important part. It goes a long way. As much as you put into this camp is as much as you're going to get out of it, and the students get out of it, and the rest of the camp staff gets out of it. And camps are not only an incredible experience, like I mentioned, for the students, but as Jeremy and I have both said, for the volunteers themselves. You're going to become part of a camp community that you're going to stay in touch with for months or maybe even a year or so afterwards. It really is a tight connection that you create in this week. So we highly encourage you, please check out more. Look on our website, join our mailing list, reach out to us via email, and follow us on social media. And we'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I'm now going to turn it over to Jeremy, and we're going to kick off our question and answer.
Great. So let's take a look and see what questions we've received here. Okay, I see a question here. The first one, I lived in the USA for about 8 years since I was a kid, so I have spoken English since my childhood, but I'm actually Chilean. So I was wondering if this is something I could be a part of, if this is something just for foreign English speakers. Ignacio, that's a great question. I would say that a lot of times it's hard to say if someone would qualify as a native speaker or a near native speaker based on the amount of time they've lived in an English speaking country. So I would encourage you to go ahead and apply, and we can evaluate your application. But generally speaking, this application is for non-Chilean participants. So there is a parallel process that you could apply for that is run through the same program, but for Chilean English teachers.
The next question we received is, what is the ratio of camp staff to student participants? That's a great question, and that's something that we're really intentional about. We try to keep it to about 1 staff member to 10 students, but you'll normally be paired up in a group as an international volunteer with the Chilean volunteer and a group of about 20 or so students working together. But that kind of intimate contact that we want to be able to have and getting a lot of student talking time is important, which is why we do try to keep it 1 to 10.
The next question I see, what does a typical day in camp look like? What's the schedule like? So it's going to vary day by day. This will all be finalized when you see the curricular plan. But basically, like we said before, you're going to be working with students from about 10 to 5, with a break for lunch and usually 2 breaks for snacks, a breakfast and a snack in the afternoon. And there will be activities structured during that whole time. It's also, like I said, it's going to depend a lot on the day. For example, Wednesday, you'll be working the whole day on the lift up. That's a lot of fun. Friday, there's going to be some sort of, closing event. Monday, there's going to be a lot of icebreakers. So it really kind of depends on the day, to be honest.
Great. Our next question is, what should international volunteers wear during camp? Great question, and we're also going to give you more information about this if you're accepted. But it's really casual, so you can wear jeans, shorts, whatever's comfortable for you, but obviously still appropriate. And we'll actually be providing you a camp t-shirt. However, it is summer and you're getting 1 camp t-shirt for 5 days, so we would recommend wearing something else underneath so it doesn't get too smelly.
Let's see, next question. Do we have to do both camps? I'm interested, but only available for 1 week. That is not a problem at all. You can, on your application, you'll be able to indicate if you're available for the first week, the second week, or both weeks.
Our next question, how competitive are these camp volunteer positions? I think we can say this year that they're pretty competitive. We are getting a lot of applications. That being said, though, we do have a large amount of roles to fill. So don't let the level of competition be something that would scare you off. We would still really encourage you to apply because we are looking for a lot of international volunteers to get out there and have the opportunity to interact with these enthusiastic Chilean students.
Next question, can you provide more information about the accommodations provided? This is something that's kind of tough to say from the central level of the program because it's going to depend on people on basically each region's reality. Usually it could be a hotel, it could be a hostel, it could be the boarding facility of the school where the camp is being run. It's really going to depend on that specific situation. So it's kind of hard to answer that question from here. But you will be with your camp team, which is the important part.
Great. And the last question that we see is, what if I don't have previous camp experience? What makes a qualified and effective volunteer at English summer camp? Well, I think that's a wonderful question. Previous camp experience is not at all required. What we're really looking for are enthusiastic, high energy, motivated volunteers who really look at this camp experience as a way to benefit students and as a way for them to work with students and really help them to have a wonderful camp experience. We're looking for people who not only are energetic, but who are also flexible, who are willing to go with the flow and problem solve in the moment. Jeremy, is there anything else you'd add to that?
No, I think that's a pretty good description, guys. Just in general, this is definitely an opportunity for someone who has a really positive attitude and a good energy level and is excited to work with students. Finally, we have one more question, and that's going to be the last one so that we can keep this short. It says, I'm not sure if I'll be able to attend the e-orientation as I'm planning to travel around the Amazon, that's exciting, during those dates, but I really want to take part in it. Any solution? What we would recommend to the person who asked this question, when the time comes, we would recommend that you apply, and when the time comes that you're accepted, you should go ahead and write to us and tell us that sort of what your plans are, and we'll work an alternative plan out with you so that you can get trained in the way that you need to be, just like all the other volunteers.
Great. Well, it looks like we got one more question. This is a volunteer camp, so it's not been paid. Am I right? That's actually incorrect. We do have a stipend that is provided. It will be paid after the fact that camp happens due to working through the United Nations Development Program and the payments. We do need to show that the camp responsibility and duty was completed. So after a week or a second full week was also completed, we will be able to actually process those payments.
Great. Well, it looks like we've come to the end of our information session. We really like to thank all of you who joined us, all of you who submitted questions. And if you have a question, maybe you're watching this later after the fact, or you're watching this now and you have a question that you thought of later, please go ahead. Don't hesitate to send us your questions in the email address that's linked in the showcase, and we'll be more than happy to answer them. And so again, we hope that you guys are really excited about this initiative, and we look forward to receiving your application.
Thanks so much for tuning in.